Welcome to the Peaceful Wellness Podcast with me, your host, Deb Phelps. If you are ready to unite with your true nature and find the calm you need to go through this journey called life, then walk a while with me as we learn to be resilient with mind, body, spirit modalities. I am a meditation teacher, mindfulness coach, sound healer, yoga specialist, and these and other modalities have helped me to truly find peaceful wellness within. So let's take a mindful approach together now. Hi friends, it's Deb, and yes, I am back with the Peaceful Wellness Podcast, and I am so glad to be back with you in this form. It's been a long year, 2022, as we're now in October, and as you know, I haven't produced an episode in quite some time. We had different things go on, some death in the family and illness, and but then some good things too. You may know I closed my office back in January here in Madison, and I was just open to the universe. Whatever you would have me do, I would do. And some things came my way over the summer, doing some sound baths at a yoga studio, and then I had my own intimate studio fall right into my lap, 4 minutes from home. It's just wonderful. And I opened that mid-July of this year, and I've been really enjoying setting it up and starting classes and private sessions with people. And it's just wonderful. I thank you, universe, for all the gifts that you have given me at this time. So I decided to come back to the podcast because I am doing monthly themes now. And October's theme is Calm Your Anxiety. So I thought I would supplement the classes, and both online and in Madison, supplement them with this podcast, giving some extra special meditations and other tips and tools that you can use to help you to calm your anxiety. And then in November, our theme will be better sleep. And who doesn't need that, right? But also, who doesn't need to calm their anxiety? Because even though I've been meditating for many, many, many years, since 1980, there's still times I get anxiety. I sure do. You know, it could be working on a project, trying to get something done, things from the past, things about the future. We know what that anxiety is like, right? And everybody's anxiety is just a little bit different too. And it may range from whether it's very, very mild to extremely overwhelming. And it could be brought on by many different experiences that we have. And maybe you are being treated by your doctor or a psychiatrist or a mental health professional, and you may be taking medications as well to help manage those symptoms, and it's okay. But what I like to add, and this you could think of this as an addition, is some modalities that I use that have helped me as well through the anxiety that I have experienced and at times can still experience, because I do have PTSD and occasionally that flares up, as well as health challenges and that sort of thing that can make me anxious as well. So it's important that we come to terms with our anxiety. Sometimes we think it's just this horrible monster that comes out at different times to keep us from enjoying our life, from being part of life. But mindfulness, and I'm going to start with mindfulness this week, mindfulness can really help. So as we're coming to terms with our anxiety, and we know that fear is a part of all of this, whether it's experienced right in the moment or in response to something that scares us in the moment, or memories that arise again. or being worried about the future. Now, certainly anxiety has lots of different words that are synonymous, right? Fear and worry and unease and distress and concern and nervousness, all of these. And some of the opposites of anxiety, well, that's happiness, peacefulness, serenity, those sorts of words. Maybe you feel some of those qualities. Maybe you feel both, a little bit of both. Well, we also know that the nervous system has the two branches, right? The sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So when you are encountering any danger, the sympathetic nervous system is like a gas pedal, really, if you think about it. It activates the fight or flight reaction or the freeze, because that's another reaction that can happen. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is like the brakes, and it restores calm and equilibrium after the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Now, everything that I do with peaceful wellness is to help people to come into that parasympathetic, to put on the brakes, to rest and restore, to rejuvenate, to come back to our wholeness, come back to that peace within. And you see, because of everything that I have experienced over the years, I had to come to this place. Now, yes, I've been meditating for well over 40 years, but meditating alone didn't just help me. It's done a big part of it, particularly mindfulness, but other things as well, whether it was yoga and sound healing and aromatherapy and walking and movement and that sort of thing. And I'll talk about those as we go forth this month. But that's what I'm all about. I want to create that space for people to feel at ease. And a lot of times when people walk in to my space, my intimate studio that I have, it's like a big sigh. Oh, I can relax here. And that's what I hope that listening to the podcast and the meditations and other things that I offer to you, that you'd be like, oh, okay, I found my sacred space that I can let go and restore that calm. What happens is the physical experiences keep the mind and the emotions running on the treadmill. But our body can actually help to detect our anxiety once we're in tune with the body. Now, mindfulness will help us to attend to the present moment, to what is. So, meeting that experience with gentleness and kindness and acceptance. And we could form a new relationship with our anxiety by our practice. Now, usually I start off with some very simple practices, and we'll get into one in just a moment here. But if you are brand new to mindfulness, let me tell you what mindfulness is not. There's a lot of misconceptions about what mindfulness is. But let me tell you what mindfulness is not. Well, mindfulness is not a quick fix trick, right? The biggest benefits of mindfulness happen as you keep practicing consistently. Mindfulness is not religious. Mindfulness isn't part of a religion, and it doesn't involve any beliefs or practices that could conflict with your personal spirituality and religion. Mindfulness is not something separate from you. And here, the capacity to be mindful comes from within us. Mindfulness is not time limited. It's not something that you say you take an 8-week course and then you put on the shelf. No, it's something that you practice. And the more you practice mindfulness meditation, the better it works for you. Mindfulness is not something you have to drop everything for. You see, mindfulness is a mindset and a way of life. So it's not just a sitting meditative practice. It fits in with where you are and what you're doing. We have a formal practice, which is the actual sitting and meditation. And then there's informal mindfulness practices that you do during your day-to-day activities. Now, importantly, mindfulness is not a magic wand or a cure-all. It's a tool. That's what it is. Mindfulness is a tool, and it's a very effective tool, in fact, that you can use to choose your focus, to reduce anxiety, and still face the everyday challenges as you live a quality life. And I know I've been there, and that's what I do. I find that nowadays I am more content and calm than I've ever been. And at this point, I'm very close to 59 years old in a couple months. And that's what I can say right here, right now. I would say I'm having the best quality of life in my mind and in my heart. My body's coming along, but I believe that peaceful wellness starts within us. So mindfulness also is not just for people who are already relaxed and full of inner peace. No, mindfulness is just a powerful way of taking charge of your anxiety and becoming relaxed and full of inner peace. It helps us to get there. Mindfulness is not always easy. That's true. You do have the natural ability to live mindfully, but doing so takes patience. It takes practice. And you can learn mindfulness and reap the many mental health benefits. And so I just encourage you to know that it's a skill that you develop. And I encourage you, don't give up. Don't give up the ship at all. Keep listening to what I share with you. Keep practicing some of these simple practices that I'll be sharing with you. So when I first work with a client, particularly someone who has never meditated before, and they're dealing with anxiety, what I like to do is work with them with something called sensory awareness. And it's also called 5-4-3-2-1. And you'll see why in just a moment. So this exercise where we focus on our senses. Now, do you remember what your 5 senses are? Seeing, right? Touch, hearing, smelling, and tasting. So those are our 5 senses. And that's what you have to keep in mind for this practice, okay? So whenever you feel some of this anxiety arising, try this practice. Now, sometimes people have told me that they've learned the practice, but when I've worked with them on it, they say, oh, I was doing it too quickly. And I said, well, you need to slow it down just a little bit if you can. So I want you to try this exercise with me, this practice with me right now, because this practice will help bring you back to the present moment. Okay. So, first of all, however you're sitting, if you can, put your feet flat on the floor. And now notice the bottom of your feet on the floor, your body sitting on your chair, and perhaps your hands in your lap. For this first one, I'd like you to keep your eyes open. And what I'd like you to do is to look at and notice 5 items in the room you're in. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this very slowly. So I'm going to ask you right now to just pick item number 1. And as you look at this item and notice it and are aware of it, what is its size, shape? What is it made of? What color is it? Maybe trace it with your eyes. If it's rectangle or square or circle, marvel at it. Look at it. Notice it. Be aware of this item. Now I'd like you to pick a second item. It could be something totally different in the room. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be the smallest thing. It could be the largest thing. Find that item right now and do the same as before, looking at the details of the item. The shape, size, what it's made of, etc. And now move to a third item. Doesn't matter where it is in the room. Find that third item. Trace it with your eyes. Really noticing that item as if you'd never seen that item before. Doing the same with number 4, finding a fourth item. What do you notice? And now finally the fifth item. Big, small, wide, skinny, green, red, marbled, whatever it may be. We're now going to move into our next sense, which is touch. And this time we're going to do 4 items. And this can be something like the seat you're on, your clothing. There's a pet nearby. It's okay to get up and go across the room if you don't have anything nearby to touch. And here, if you want to close your eyes, you can. So as you do this, feel that object. Feel it. Recognize each nuance. Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? What is it made out of? Is it natural material? Is it man-made material? Is it soft or is it hard? Now I invite you to go to a second item. It can even be something as simple as your hair. What does that feel like? Notice every little detail. Now let's go to a third item. It could be anything at all. The chair you're sitting in, the lamp, the plant. Feeling that texture. And now our final item. You know about this object as you touch it and feel it for the first time. Now release the touch items and let's move to listening. And here we're going to listen for 3 sounds. So as you listen, it could be a sound in the room you're in or outside the room you're in or outside where you live. Now, is that sound loud? Is it soft? Is it subtle? What's the tone of this sound? Now let's move to a second sound. Maybe there's humming from something running in your home. Heater, air conditioner, refrigerator. What does that sound like? Maybe it's a dog bark. Noticing the tone. High pitched, low pitched. And finally, the last sound. Letting the sound arrive to your ears. Being aware of the sound. Noticing it. What is it like? And moving on now to smelling. So I invite you to sniff one thing first. And it could be anything. It could be your hair, smelling your shampoo or your skin, your clothing, a cup of coffee or tea, maybe a flower, essential oils, whatever it may be. What can you smell? What do you notice about the aroma? And moving on to a second item that you can smell. Being with just this aroma. Is it sweet? Is it smelly? Let it be what it is. And now we move to our final sense, the sense of taste. In here, we taste one item, maybe a mint or a cough drop you have, maybe your cup of tea. And as you put it to your mouth and in your mouth, really taste it. Even if it's water, really taste it. And if you don't have anything nearby to taste, take your tongue and just run it on your teeth. Take your tongue and run it on your teeth. Maybe you're tasting your mouthwash, maybe something that you just ate. Notice it. Sweet, salty, acidic. So as you come back with me now, what do you notice from when we started this exercise to now? What do you notice about yourself? Now, this may be a very simple practice exercise, but it does really work with feelings of anxiety. So, anytime that you're dwelling on things in your mind, or you feel a little worried, concerned about the future, you can choose differently and you can find these items wherever you are. Like I said, you can use your hair, you can, for something to hear, you can just rub your fingers together next to your ear, feeling that. Even just do that now for a moment. See, you can make your own sounds, right? You have things with you. So you don't have to be somewhere and have all these items wherever you are. You can do this in the car, in the doctor's waiting room, wherever you are. And you can use this very simply just with something like a cup of coffee or tea. You can focus on that cup, feeling that cup, looking at that cup, looking in the cup, smelling. Maybe it's a cappuccino. You can swirl it around to see if you can hear it, tasting it, taking your time. We We go so fast, but when we slow down, it can make a real difference in how we perceive our experiences. So I hope you'll use this practice over the next few days and just notice. Notice before you do the practice when maybe you're feeling a little anxious, and then notice afterwards. And let me know. Let me know how that goes for you. This has worked for many people that I've worked with, one-on-one in private sessions. And it's just one way of beginning, of working with that anxiety to help calm it down, having some awareness with the senses. So again, I'm so glad you're here listening to me today, and I'm glad to be back, and I can't wait to share more with you. So if you're interested in the classes that I'm offering, whether online in Madison, also the online courses that I have, go to my website at debphelps.com. You can also go to peacefulwellness.org as you have before, and I have buttons there taking you wherever you would like to go as well. Or write me, share with me how this practice has helped you. So thank you so much for joining with me. I honor you, and I wish you such peace. Take care, my friends. Thank you for joining with me today. For my weekly classes, meditation and modalities on-demand library, self-study courses, and private sessions, visit my website at peacefulwellness.org.